predictions. So first we'll go 4 to 10. We'll leave the top 3 at
So the midfield, pretty much.
midfield, yeah. And back markers if there's gonna be any.
Well, now after talking about Mercedes and their testing, like I don't know if I like them in the place I have them now.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll start with 5 and 6. Who's gonna be like the mid? Like just actually no. We'll do 6 and 7 first.
Because that's the mid.
Like who's mid? Yeah. Just not. They can get points, but
Okay. I like how we went from 4 to 10 to 5 to 10 to 6 to 10.
well, because 4 to 10, like you can kind of.
Let's just do 4 to 10. Like.
No, we're gonna do 4 to 10, but we're gonna start with 6 and 7. Fuck.
Okay. For 6, I have Alfa Romeo.
Who are the other teams?
You should have made the list.
I'm gonna go 6 and 7. The 2 Ferrari junior teams. So Haas, Alfa Romeo. Like either one of them in those 2 spots, but both of them will be 6 and 7.
For my list, I had Alfa Romeo, then McLaren. But after like talks with McLaren, like I might have to put them a little lower.
Yeah, you can.
But this is my original list. Like I had Alfa Romeo, then McLaren at 7. Because Alfa Romeo, like, I didn't really. Did you hear? Like, we didn't hear much about them in testing, so they might be like.
I heard that they had some. Their car is not insanely different from last year.
Yeah.
But they have made some key changes. So their airbox is different. Their side pods are different. The front wing front part of the car is more similar to last year. Same with the rear. But I think they didn't even have a bad car last year. But they've made upgrades that help the car in the right direction. Mm. And it looks to be that Bottas and Guan Yu Zhou are comfortable with the car.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like, Williams could have 1 lap pace, but if they can't keep it there, then it's kind of pointless.
Because Alfa Romeo last year, I mean, I remember they were pretty solid. Valtteri, Bottas, Zhou Guanyu, and this is Zhou's 2nd year now. Like last year was his rookie year, right?
Yeah.
So I think maybe now he's gotten a feel for it. Like he'll be more confident in himself, I guess. Mm. Then Bottas, I think, is just a good teammate overall. Like he's solid. I saw the face, Richard.
No. I'm like, so they finished 6th last year. And I think they're going to do better than last year.
I could see them. But then, going back to 4 and 5, you have people like Alpine and Aston Martin.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Well,
Okay. So you want to continue to 8 through 10?
Yeah, we'll go 8 and 9, 10. I think 8... I think it's going to be AlphaTauri.
I also have AlphaTauri for 8.
Just... Are you able to hear that, Devin? Oh.
9. I have Williams.
We'll start this again. 8 and 9 and 10.
8, 9, and 10, yes.
Okay. 8, I think we both put AlphaTauri. Just because I think there's going to be some back markers. Well, 8 and 9, I think Williams and AlphaTauri are going to switch between those 2. Maybe I want to put Williams at 9 because I think Logan Sargent's going to have some time to break in. And I think both, like, if a time comes where there's a lot of accidents or, like, they just happen to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Both of the AlphaTauri drivers currently can do a good enough job to get their cars into the points and finish solidly.
That's true.
Where for at least half the season, I think for the Williams team, only one Albon is going to be the only one that's going to be able to do that.
Because he was consistently able to like reach 10th place-ish, like some races.
He scored points in Australia, Miami. Belgium was Nick de Vries.
And then, Nick de Vries, debut race, fucking
got it right away. So I think, he's also really quick, but I think their car is just not really there.
But I also do have 9th for Williams. I think Logan might take a minute to get used to it. And I don't know, I think maybe it's just being like seeing Williams at the bottom for so long, like you kind of get used to it, or like you expect them to be at the bottom still.
He did set a faster time than Albon in testing. I know we can't look at testing, but
Don't give me hope.
yeah. And just to put it in perspective, pole last year was a 130.5, which is what Perez set in testing this time. The fastest lap, was a 34.5. So, the cars are probably a lot faster this year.
Because I think it'll like AlphaTauri and Williams, they'll just like kind of fluctuate. Because like I like Yuki, I don't have the biggest like confidence in him though, like to lead a team already.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think where we're placing them is where they're gonna end up. But I honestly think like they're gonna be close.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna be
like someone's dead last because their cars like everything's gonna be somewhat.
And I think everyone's gonna score points, and I think the people that finished last are gonna like barely miss out in getting like 9th or 8th.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna be close between like quite a few teams.
So who do you have 10th?
10th? Putting McLaren.
McLaren? That's valid.
Just because, I mean, I like Oscar Piastri. Well, hold on. I don't like him anymore because he did some shady ass shit. Like, he was supposed to go to Alpine. And he was already kind of contracted with them. And he'd been like their test driver and reserve driver for like a couple years now. And they brought him up. He was always under their camp. And like, yeah, we're going to promote you to number 1. He's like, hold on a second. Hold my, I don't think he's old enough. Hold my soda, whatever he drinks.
Hold my soda.
You know what I'm trying to say. But then he was like, basically had beef with Alpine.
Yeah.
And
he had his little side contract with McLaren. Like,
yeah, because
I'm going to McLaren now.
Because they're going to be good. But fuck, I think they're going to be really bad. And I think
this is like some Daniel move, bro. Like when he went from Renault to McLaren.
But he wasn't even salty about it. Like he was
That's
just
true.
like, I'm leaving because I want to pursue a better team. And which at that time McLaren was a much better team. They're performing.
Now.
But now I think like the cockiness has gotten to their head. They have all these side projects with doing the older cars. They have IndyCar going on. They have a Extreme E, like a rally team going on. And like, I just don't think they're focused enough, to be blunt about it.
Mm-hmm.
They have a team principal who is really passionate about the sport. They have a CEO, which is Zach Brown. He's not the team principal. Andreas Seidel is the principal, or was. And then they had everyone kind of switched. Because Ferrari got Anyway, I think that they just don't have the leadership. They don't really have top end designers either.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're really struggling to wrap their head around like the concept. I think honestly they should just copy a design. Get a design that like works. And it like you don't have to be the fastest, but it's comfortable for the drivers to race. And like they're happy with the car. Because if they don't like driving it, then it makes it even worse. So
please give Lando some help.
I don't like Lando.
I like Lando, mainly because he's like best friends with Carlos. So it's like
I like Carlos.
See, Carlos and McLaren, very good.
I wouldn't say I hate Lando, but I don't know, something about his face.
What?
See, it's the same thing with George Russell. We've already been over this.
No, but George Russell is his attitude too. So for 10th, I had Haas, but like after all the McLaren talk, like I could probably that might switch up with me.
But I think they're gonna finish last because of inconsistency and like
the car
not being there all the time. So I still think they're gonna get points. I think they're gonna be close, but they're not gonna. Come season's end, they're not gonna be. It won't be enough.
Yeah.
To get to where they need to.
And for Haas, like the reason I put him at 10, I think it was mainly just because of Hulkenberg. Like, I don't know how he's gonna do.
He's always. Let me. Did he race in 2019? Yeah, he did. In 2020 and 2021, every time he's come back for like a super sub, like called in the randomly in the middle of the season, he was always able to perform as good as his teammate or like close enough. And that's like not like with inconsistent testing. And now that he's like had a full time to like get used to the A team, I think he'll be pretty. I think Kevin will still be faster, but he'll be
a solid. Like,
he'll be performing the way that the car should be performing. It won't be a situation where like Mazepin is just
like Williams, kind of like
Mick Schumacher.
Yeah.
Sorry, do your example first.
Like Albon, he's consistently getting like top 10, and then you had Latifi, who was like,
like he's underperforming in the car. And I think it's the same way with Haas. Like Kevin was doing as good as the car could do, but Mick was just not.
It wasn't clicking. But I love Mick. He looks so innocent.
We'll keep going.
So that was 6 through 10.
6 through 10. Okay, we'll do
4 and
5 and 4. 5 and 4.
I think we kind of have the same, but I feel like you might have one team over the other.
So we'll go. I think 3, 4, and 5. For me, they're going to be really close in the championship. Mm-hmm. Which means one of the top teams is not going to be as good.
We know who that top team is.
Okay. I think it just kind of also depends on the season. So like if it rains a lot in certain races, or if there's like crashes that happen all the time, that can really affect how the season will end up. Mm-hmm. Like Ferrari was really close at the beginning to like staying ahead of Ferrari, but that's because they had like 3 DNFs in the first 2 races.
That's true.
So it's not really fair to like compare. In the first race, they had a 1-2 finish.
Yeah.
So like immediately they're put like 40 points ahead of Red Bull. Then they're catching up later on, but I think that's like in the last race there's a crash. It's gonna change how the championship ends up. Number 5. Who do you have?
I have Aston Martin at 5.
I have Alpine at 5.
Only because like this is kind of biased, but because I like Alpine.
We forgot to do the drivers. We'll go back to it after.
We'll do that after. Like, yeah. But yeah, I have Aston Martin at 5 and Alpine at 4. But then.
All right, so we'll do 4. Because to me, this all depends. I think Mercedes is going to get 4th.
That's what I was. I think Mercedes might get 4th, and it's either Alpine or Aston Martin that might get 3rd. Me saying Alpine will get 3rd.
I think Aston Martin's going to get 3rd.
Or Alpine and Aston Martin take up 3 and 4, and Mercedes gets 5th. Or yeah.
I don't think. Now here's my reason. I think for the reason why I have Aston Martin at the top. Now we're gonna get into this later, but I think was because Alonso's gonna be so much faster than a Stroll.
Yeah.
That when it comes then Stroll can also be really fast at certain points. So we understand that like he can perform at the level of the car that like it needs to be, or perform higher. Mm-hmm. He doesn't really perform like underperform the car. Yeah. So he's a good driver now. And Alonso's always gonna be overperforming the car.
I could see Mercedes getting 5th.
Okay, yeah. So that's what I'm like saying. Okay, Mercedes. I think Russell. They're not gonna hate each other, but they're gonna get in each other's way.
Yeah, because you know how Ocon was with Alonso last year, and if it's Gasly this year,
I think it's because they're actually gonna like crash into each other. Alonso or Ocon has always like been this close to like taking out his teammates, and at least with Alonso, he was like smart enough to know like, okay, I can get around him anyway. I'll just do it at another time.
With Gasly, he's like,
Gasly, like they've already have had beef in the past. Now they say they're resolved and it's over with, but when you're driving at 200 miles an hour and the guy that like is no longer your best friend because he did whatever to you, and you're salty about it, even though you say you're fine, you're gonna get back at him. That's my take about that. I really think that Ocon and Gasly is gonna get like really, really bad between them.
I feel like the car is gonna be good this
No,
year.
I know. I think it's gonna be really good, and I think you're gonna see like Gasly or hopefully it's only
Gasly.
get podiums. But you're gonna see Ocon. Yeah, he's probably gonna get a podium or two if we think it's gonna be as good as the car is. But they're gonna constantly be fighting, and the team's gonna have to choose between one of them.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Ocon's gonna get the boot because he's had a history of doing this in the past. Now I know I'm a Perez fan, but Perez wasn't willing to like move out of the way when Ocon tried to push him out, and they always crashed into each other. Now some of them were Perez's fault. I won't not take the blame on him as well. But I think Ocon, just because they've already had a history, and I really think they're gonna get in each other's way. Just unfortunately, but you know what? I don't care about him. So it's not my problem. So third, I think Aston Martin, only because they're gonna be the only team that doesn't get in each other's way.
That's true. They're like Lance isn't gonna like mess with Alonso.
I
He
mean-
and Vettel got on pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, so
And even if he does like challenge Alonso, I don't think he's not a dirty driver.
yeah.
Like we've seen it with Ocon. He's okay with other people, but when it comes to his teammates, he gets very defensive about it. I think Perez had that issue for some time when he knows like his seat's on the line or like he has to perform. He kind of can get over aggressive. I think he's better about it now. And then, I mean, I'm trying to think of other teams. Verstappen as well. He gets really hyper aggressive when it comes to certain situations.
That man gets.
I mean,
mad
it was
so
only with
easily.
Hamilton, but like when it with Leclerc, maybe because it's just that they've been racing with each other for a long time,
Yeah.
so they know how each other's style is. They can like fight all the time. So that leaves 1 and 2.
I have Red Bull at
Number 2.
yes.
I have it at number 2 as well.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know who's going to win the championship.
I'll leave that for later for the like driver who we think will be better in the. But I do think Ferrari, or well, because I'm a Ferrari fan, is gonna win the championship. You know, they both have solid lineups. You know, Charles and Carlos Ferrari. What's his name? Max
And
Perez at Red Bull. Like that's a good matchup. But I think Ferrari will come out on top this time.
I think they'll come on. I still am holding true to my prediction that Red Bull's going to suffer from the development gain at the very end of the season. Like, I think they'll be close getting up to it, but like the last 3 rounds, Ferrari's going to be able to keep up their production of like new parts or whatever.
Yeah.
And at some point, Red Bull, maybe not the last 3 rounds, but like maybe the last 5, because they have to stretch it out for some time. Red Bull's going to stagnate, and they're going to be ahead. Just, but I think that would also set up the championship as well.
Yeah.
I think you'll see Ferrari or Red Bull really strong. So Perez and
I think Red Bull will start off really strong too, but I think Ferrari, like maybe after a few upgrades, they'll like.
in the mid-season to late season is when they have to
Yeah.
make the comeback.
Like I think Ferrari.
Like what Hamilton did in 2021.
I think they're better off starting off as like the underdog, kind of like catching up to Red Bull, not being on top.
And I still think they'll be close, but
But it will be close. But I think Ferrari will come out on top.
yeah. But like, I would even like go as far as to say like Alfa Romeo, because we both have them at 6.
Yes.
At some points, we'll be like close enough to like get to Alpine and the Mercedes.
I mean, maybe
and
yeah,
Aston
but like
Martin. And honestly, like the only wild card here that we really have is Mercedes.
because they could be good.
They could be.
They
good,
could be
mid. Yeah.
like
And I think if they end up being good, okay, they're gonna end up 3rd.
Yes.
I don't think they're gonna beat the big teams.
no.
Maybe halfway through the season they get really good, but it
Like
won't
they
be enough.
may win a race. I feel like how they did last year.
Yeah, but it
But-
won't be enough to get higher in the
Yeah.
constructors. And then that just leaves 4, 5, 6 or 4, 5. which I think Aston's going to come out on top for the reasons I gave earlier. And you think
Alpine. Because, yeah, if Mercedes is good and, like, they'll take third, it's between Alpine and Aston Martin. Alfa Romeo maybe, but, like, we'll need to see. But I think it'll be between Alpine and Aston Martin, and Alpine will come. Now, after you've, like, convinced me now, like, Alonso and Stroll is a good, like...
That's a solid pairing.
That is.
Because, I mean, you weren't really watching Formula One, but Perez and Lance, they were a pretty good pairing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in 2020 when they had like a good enough car that was better than everyone else.
Yeah, they were. Like,
they were able to both get podiums and both consistently perform in the car. This is good.
Aston Martin, man.
Oh man, this is gonna like bug me. Like until we see the first